Hello and welcome to another episode of the Revenue Revolution podcast, sponsored by Jointflows. Today we are joined by Jassim Tazi, the co-founder and head of sales at Ubique or Ubique. Sorry, I may have said it wrong, but welcome to the show, Jassim. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for having me, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, it's okay. Nobody knows how to pronounce ubiquity. It comes from ubiquity, actually, but it's all
There you
right.
go.
However
You
you
know,
pronounce it, I'll be happy with it.
just for the listeners, he did tell me ahead of the call as well, ahead of hitting record. I did ask, but obviously I'm just showing how poor my pronunciation of words are. So that's on me, not on your naming of the platform. But look, really great to have you here. We usually like to start with a light introduction so our viewers get a little bit more of a flavor of who Jassim is and how you've got to where you are. So over to you.
Okay, great. So quick intro. I don't come from the sales environment. I actually started working in restaurants and hotels, and so a bit far away from where we are right now. Even though, like, I think hospitality definitely teaches you to have a thick leather, and this is where I got like this like us a customer centric attitude.
Mm,
Then a few months before COVID hit, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to work in this industry anymore. I'd like to change.
mm,
And so I started working doing cold calling for startups, like really as a odd job, waiting to find something. And then COVID hits. No, nothing works anymore in restaurants and hotels, which is great timing for me. And so I ended up in a startup which was called Anchor Store,
mhm.
and it was the very beginning. It's like B2B marketplace, kind of you can think of it as Amazon, but for retailers to buy cool, small, little independent brands. And I started there. There were only the four founders and two employees, and I was the third one. And the
Nice.
project was really cool. The founder were awesome, and this is where I met my mentor, Pierre Louis, who told me like, "Hey, you have to stop doing odd jobs. Just like join us for a little while. You're gonna have fun, and then you'll see what you want to do after this." So that's how I ended up there. From cold calling, I started like moving on to emailing and doing meetings. And then I was on a retailer acquisition, so marketplace system, so retailer acquisition, then brand acquisition. And then I had the opportunity to open all the departments. And it so happened that this startup became a unicorn in a record time. Like in a year, we went from like 6 employees to like a good 500,
Wow.
which is absolutely the kind of growth you see in 2020. That was
Yeah.
normal stuff back then. And so I ended up opening the Dutch market, which was an awesome experience. That's why I worked with a couple of really cool people there, and we
Yeah.
hired 30 people, thinking that it's gonna go like to 100 in a few months. But then I had my friend who came to me, one of my best friends from high school, and told me, "Hey, I'm opening some AI startup and doing videos, and I need a guy who works in sales because it's actually a sales SaaS." And
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Like, let's just jump on another adventure.
Love it.
And there you are.
Amazing.
There
Yeah.
I am. There I am.
What's the
So yeah, yeah.
how did you find the transition from being an employee to being an employer, I guess,
Yeah, that's actually pretty funny. Like even in the previous startup, I always had the feeling of owning the company. Like I know I didn't have the equity that followed for sure, but
Mm,
in my head I was like, since I had it since the very beginning, I kind of felt like it was also my project. So it's a it didn't change that much, but definitely there's on that attitude, like in terms of involvement. But it's true that like going from being a team leader and having a team of AEs and doing acquisition and thinking strategically about this, and then being the person at the wheels, at the steering wheel, taking the strategic decision, there's one thing that I didn't expect coming in that job, and it's the fact that there's no safeguards. It means that like you went from driving, it's like, you know, in video games when you have like kind of like assistance when you're driving your car, and like
Yeah.
it helps you a little bit. Right now, if you Mario Kart, Rainbow Road, you fall, there's nothing to prevent you from falling. And sometimes you take a decision, and it's only like 2 months later that you're like, how come we are in that hole? And then you're like,
Yeah,
oh yes,
that
we
was me.
did do this. Exactly, we did do this 2 months ago, and nobody told me, hey, don't go there. Like, this is, yeah, you just like went straight in because you're sure at that point is the right decision, and you just like turned through it. So yeah, I think this is the main, like, being at the wheels is
Yeah,
a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of responsibility. I think you guys can relate, right?
absolutely. And what was the I guess what was the most appealing to you to make that leap? Because it is a big change, as you said. So
Hmm,
what was
for
appealing
sure.
about it?
I think it's well, first, it's like AI is so interesting.
Mm,
It's such a year and a half ago, like we started to do this before ChatGPT was out.
mm,
So like, I don't know if you guys remember, but not long ago when you talked about AI, everybody was like, "Ooh, the thing that's gonna come and kill us and steal our job." We all think of Skynet when we think of AI, but now
yeah,
everybody knows, like, okay, it's a cool assistant that writes your emails. So, but it was not the sentiment back then. But I was always passionate about it. I really liked this topic for various reasons. So this, and also the fact that Adrian, my co-founder, is like, he's an AI engineer, and he has his way of talk and of being. He's so passionate, and everything about it is interesting. And I think, like, so Ubique, just a quick side note,
yeah.
is an AI tool that allows you to create and personalize videos at scale. So it's a technology of voice cloning, lip syncing. We take one video, we transform it into a template. So you just select the words you want to personalize, and then you connect this to your CRM, to any database, and you can have a single video for every person. So you can think of this for outbound, CSM, inbound, CX, anything that is related to this. And I think my vision as a sales, and this is something that I was starting to push people towards in my sales team, is to start to send more videos, because I think
Mm,
that it works great, and I think everybody would like to start sending videos, but it's such a pain to record them. And even now, like, it takes me 30 minutes to have the right intonation and the right, like, feeling that I want to communicate and all, but it's so powerful. It's
yeah.
just like, allows you to communicate your feelings, and a lot of, and it just has so much more impact when you're selling a video. So that's why, like, if we manage to crack this case and allow people to
Mm.
communicate with video better, then I think that this is the future. Like, this is really how people are going to do sales in a couple of years.
Yeah. Do you see this only as a top of the funnel activity or something that happens, video? Would you be utilizing this technology throughout the sales funnel?
I think that any customer interaction can be improved with a video. Of course, not
Mm,
every step of the process. So probably the purpose of this video is not aiming at replacing a meeting in general. It's more aiming at triggering
yeah.
a CTA. That's why I usually don't recommend people doing like personalized tutorials, because if you have like a 10 minutes tutorial and the only thing you're personalizing is the first name, then it doesn't really change anything. But if you're able to do this and to speak only about the impactful stuff in your video, because what you want to do is, usually before you were doing generalist videos, but now that the same way you're able to do ultra targeted emails with AI, you're able to also create this level of granularity within your video messaging. And so having it at every step of the process, that one of the things that pushes us towards doing this is kind of a, so right now there's a generation that is brought up with TikTok and Instagram and Reels, and you're saying, like, one day they're going to be sales managers, they're going to be directors. How will email look like in 10 years? Is it going to be text based, or is sales going to do the same transition that marketing did a few years ago, going from text based to video to images to video? That's really a, I mean, our bet is that there is going to be a TikTokization of the sales process, because if you, in the future, if you want to speak to a director or a manager, you're gonna have to be engaging. You're gonna have to have like some impactful stuff, some relevant stuff to show them.
Yeah.
And I guess like obviously we're all for AI as well. I think it's huge. Obviously, it's a huge market, but a lot of it is now, everything is coined AI a little bit. So it's almost like before, back in the day, when, to your point, like if you did AI, you were kind of the odd one out, and it was a little bit scary, and like you differentiated with the AI. Now it's almost, if you don't have AI, you're the odd one out. You're the odd one out. So how do you differentiate yourself within the AI world, knowing that it can mean a lot of things?
Mm. It's true. AI goes from deep learning with data and everything all the way to like your sequence writing and then like some very futile stuff you can do. It's important to. It's all about the use that you're having. The same way that video is not a magic stick, AI is not a magic stick that you can just flick around and all of a sudden all your problems are solved. I see a lot of people on LinkedIn pushing towards like, oh, how I write my sequences with AI and stuff like this. I still have trouble believing this, and even like some videos that are fully generated, like having 2 3 minutes 10 minutes of video generated, we will get there, but we're not yet there yet. So having the human person expertise helping you and designing the flow and the way to communicate and everything is still essential. And this is what differentiate a good AI tool from an AI tool that is like lacking flexibility. I think good AI tools, that's why there is always a leveling up aspect to it. Any good AI tool, you start your first day, you're not efficient. I think we all remember our first prompts on ChatGPT asking it like, oh, do this,
Yeah.
write me a poem, and ChatGPT was 10 times less powerful, and we were very happy with the results.
Yeah.
And the power of GPT is its flexibility, and this is what we want to have also with our AI. And this is one of the aspects that maybe was one of these like moments of mistakes that I mentioned earlier. It's like we gave a lot of we wanted to go for self-served very early on in our product development. So product-led growth, self-served. And the thing is, with tools like this, it means we wanted to give the flexibility that GPT gave, which has its limitations. Because if you're talking to people that are not really prompt to learning a new tool, you can encounter some blockers, which are I'm not managing to get the results that I want. So we are building a tool for robustness, but people always manage to break it, and that's one of the main issues we have.
Yeah, that's always the way it goes. I mean, you mentioned product-led growth as well, and it's an interesting topic. It's one that we've had with several guests as well. I mean, what's your, and I'm for it as well. I'm for and against it, depending on the technology and the tool that you're trying to sell. But what was your logic behind going for a PLG motion?
It's so you want to get, as soon as you go from sales led and interaction and everything to product led, you're opening a whole new world of opportunities and problems.
Yeah.
And one of them that you can build up is the technological depth that you're building, because all of a sudden you're going from speaking to every one of your user to kind of like building the platform in a way that they're going to have a good experience and the easiest, and you're doing there's a concept that is really interesting when you're doing this, is the nudge. you're pushing people towards doing what you want them to do without ever telling them what you want to do. That's how you can arrive on the like login page of Instagram and instantly know where are my messages. And then if I put you on another app, you'll know instantly where the messages are. It's like some really deeper, like encoded stuff in our heads. But the reason why we wanted to do this is because it's a fairly new business out there, the business of video. We need to do a lot of evangelization. Is it a word? Mick, we speak the same language. Yeah,
That's
it's a
it.
word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that the
Okay.
French translation?
Yeah. I did. I was afraid to invent a new word. But anyway, it works.
Mick does it all the time, don't worry.
Try it.
Yeah.
You try it with the English accent, and it either
Yeah.
works or doesn't.
Exactly. So yeah, we have to do a lot of infantilization, and we need to have a lot of feedbacks also. So the more usage, the better. We didn't want to stay bound to I speak to every person, because all of a sudden you have a confirmation bias, because the only person you're talking to are the people you thought about reaching out. And then you can think of referrals and everything and building your community slowly. But when you're in a new market with a new business that's never been proven, I mean, nobody ever managed to send thousands of videos a week personalized to thousands of people. And when you have this and you want to prove your market fit, you want to arrive with solid conclusions and robust hypothesis, you need to have feedback, and you need a lot of them.
Yeah.
So, for example, we defined, like, I think part of every like sales process is defining the pain that your users are experiencing. We defined like 5 pains, but then, like, when we started opening the platform to a lot of other people and went above the outbound that I was carrying out, we realized that there was so much pain it was fixing, so much more different pains that I never thought of. Like, for example, I didn't think that a real estate agent could be using this to communicate, like to find new sellers like home sellers, or that a recruitment agency could be using this to like scrape LinkedIn profiles and say, like, use a hey first name. I see that you have like 2 years experience in company title. Well, that would be great because I have this job offer that works for you, and send it on LinkedIn. So these use cases I honestly didn't have in mind, and this is the kind of great learnings we get from opening your platform to the world and being like, okay, you guys have fun with it.
And so, but then is there not a challenge around, you kind of build the product with an idea in mind, and then you kind of put the framework around it, and now you open the tap, and now you've got 600,000 new use cases, which then, you know, they're not necessarily geared towards the initial product you've built. So how do you not drawn on that amount of feedback, and you select what you want to specialize within so that you get a niche product?
Yeah, prioritization. Like, how do you prioritize? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it's like you get so much feedback, and we do too. Like we created the platform with an angle and an idea in mind, and very early on we were exposed to a subsequent use case which we didn't think about, which had a lot of value, which we could deliver against. But then it was about choosing whether we actually wanted to go there or not. So the question is,
That's
how do you do that when you're PLG centric and you?
yeah. It's I think it's you have to try to have the same way a VC will feel when a startup is good, and will will have a capacity to analyze this. It's a lot of like gut feeling, and you can feel it, like, if I was this person, how impactful is this pain? How much am I experiencing this pain on a daily basis? It requires, I think, empathy to really put yourself in the shoes of a recruitment agency or a lead generation agency. Like, okay, what is my, like, deep understanding? And I feel like a lot of I mean, that's how I build my outbound campaigns for sure, is I often put myself in the shoes that I rarely say like I read all the outbound campaigns I receive. Like I go to my spam folders, so like maybe once a week, and I just go through this and see like everything that is good and not good about these emails. And now that with AI and with tools like Clay, which are doing an awesome job, I really like Clay. They like you read often, hey, first name, I see that your company is doing this. By the way, I'm selling this totally differently. I just wanted to catch your attention. It's a clickbait. It's nothing more than a clickbait. It doesn't
Yeah.
have any impact. A lot of the sales is not only catching attention, it's also uh, making yourself understood. And most of the time, I don't understand what you're selling. What is it that it's different? How do you overcome oh, I already have this. I don't need this. And how do you make sure the person says, oh no, that's actually different. That's not this tool or this Excel sheet or this whatever I have that I have right now. It's worth the price that it's talking me about. But anyway, this is a little side notes. I do a lot of these. Tell me if it's too much.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good.
So to go back to your question, when you start to have that many use cases, it's it's important to go with how painful is it that and once you have it, what is it that they need that is different than what I have currently to build it towards this? If it's not much, then it's easy to implement. If it's drastically different, it needs to go into the equation. And then it's it's going at it, it's experimenting, it's like going with other people that you think have this pain, offering them the tool for free, and trying to gather as much feedback as you want because you want to build your case. And as soon as you get like one of these good use cases that are different, and sometimes if you're the first time experimenting it, and maybe your competitors didn't even think about it, you have a competitive advantage, and that's really valuable in a time of AI and stuff where things can move super fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's quite I've seen video prospecting being used more and more, to your point. As so the first person who we've had on the podcast who possibly has access to this type of data, what is actually the optimal time for of a video you should be sending as part of a prospecting process? And if you don't have the answer, you can just make it up and tell me afterwards. You pretend it.
No, actually, I do have the answer, and I'm gonna talk because we have different use cases. Once again, you can use these for outbound, for CSM, but let's go with the like, let's say engagement first touch, outbound and
Yeah.
inbound. So as soon as and we have the views, but we also have the meeting booked rate and everything. So when you gather this data and the result is any video that is above 1 minute 45 has a completion rate of less than 5%. So watching 100% of the video, no matter like how good your video is. So people might skip through it and end up watching the end because they want to see the CTA or something like this. But you need to keep it short for a first interaction. So now I'm not talking about like because my outbound video is like showing a workflow to people that work. So it's like 1 minute 30 something. And but as soon as you go over 2 minutes, like that's it. People are not watching your whole video, and anything above 3 minutes gets like a really really low completion rate. Like I don't have the number in mind, but I was like it really drops drastically.
Yeah. What's the optimal minutes to book the meeting?
In general, wow, that's a lot of. You want me to make that up, or you want to really? I have no clue. Honestly, I have no clue. This would be because we want to build like some advanced analytics tool on our landing pages, but it's still something. You see, part of the PLG is to have like a technical debt. So we are building right now, we're releasing our API, Zapier integration and everything to totally automate the videos. I think this is going to be huge in terms of possibilities for the market, because as we said, every interaction can become a video. I think that like pretty soon, I mean, I don't know, when you open a new bank account and your bank is
Mm.
invited, like your agent is inviting you to a meeting, it's because they want to sell you some insurances and some additional stuff. Nobody reads that email. I would be curious to see
Never.
the open rates and the conversion rates of these emails. But like if you have a video of your real agent and then he talks to you and it's someone that follows you through the years and they're like, oh, I see that you don't have an insurance right now, and here showing you on the screen whatever you want to see, it's irrelevant. Okay, because yeah, we didn't speak about this, but every time I talk about video, to me, I'm not speaking about full face videos. I'm only speaking about screen sharing, except if you are a star, like someone recognizable to your community. I don't think doing a full face video is the route to go. Like it doesn't bring any value to it. You are, apart from like humanizing, which would work back in the days, but right now more and more people are aware that videos are AI generated and everything. It's all about what you show. And what you're showing can be a demo of your tool, a workflow, a certain feature, like a feature release, invitation to a webinar, like slides. But if you come in and you're not showing anything, I think that you're really missing like 90% of your screen is basically useless, because I don't mind seeing you in a small bubble at the bottom right, as long as you're showing me relevant stuff.
No, that makes sense.
It's funny because you feel like video has been around for a long time. I've been trying to record a pitch deck for about 3 weeks now.
Someone get the tissues out. He's about to tell you a sob
I'm gonna
story.
cry.
I hear about it all the time.
All right, you guys, that's my podcast now. So that's you hold the mic.
Go ahead, man. I'm here to listen.
It takes me 4.5 hours sometimes, and I'm not joking, to record 20 minutes video. And sometimes I record it and I reach minute 19 and I screw it up. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to start again. Like, how would you, because obviously this is your world, how would you coach against that camera fear that a lot of people have?
That's I have it too, honestly. That's why I built this tool. It's because when I invest 4 hours of my time creating a video, I want this to be evergreen. I want this to stay. I don't want to have to do it again. That's why, like, it takes me like this video of a minute and a half where I'm putting and like honestly, like without any fake humility, I don't consider myself a neophyte, like a new guy, a newbie in videos. Like I do theater. I'm comfortable in front of an audience, speaking and everything. But like creating a video of a minute 45 just like breaks my brain for some reason.
Yeah.
And so it takes me, yeah, same as you. So I think the ratio would fit, because it takes me, actually it's even worse, because it takes me 30 minutes to record a minute and a half, more or less. And I have to do like 14 takes. So once I have my video and I'm happy with it, I want this to stay around. That's why I'm using. But yeah, I like, more seriously, I think the thing that really helps is having a prompter, not prompts an AI prompter, an actual prompter. But that means you have to write down everything, and that you sound like a robot when you're reading it, except if you're a news anchor and you're really good at this. So it's really hard to put the human emotion and have everything in your video. But one thing that if it's a long video, if it's like you mentioned 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I feel like people are much more okay with you pausing. So don't go with the and starting your sentence before knowing what you're gonna say, but like pause a little bit, take 3 seconds to like gather back your ideas, and then start on a good on a good note. Instead of like going with a and yeah, and and oh yeah, I have to do it again.
Yeah. Especially as a Frenchman, you got a lot of filler words, I find, that you don't
Oh
have in
yes,
England.
yes. 50% of French is only this.
Amazing, amazing. We touched on obviously being product-led growth. Do you have plans to, at some point, as the business matures, to move to a sales-led motion as well, or a combination of the two? And if so, where do you feel that tipping point is? And that's something that always interests me is, when do you move motion? When do you change motion?
I think we're always going to be a hybrid. I don't like I wouldn't like go and dedicate myself 100% to one or the other solution. But of course, you want to start having more of a like key account approach. Right
Yeah,
now, we don't really, we're not really discriminative with the type of people that works with us. We have companies that have like thousands of employees and other that are like just self one person. But in general, I think that the moment when you want to start, since it's this tipping point is not really a hard like frontier. It's more of how do you allocate your resources from one to another, and it's all about the revenue you're generating. So I think the first enterprise contract you're closing, you're already starting to shift away from your full PLG, because a key account is requires so much human touch. This is part of it, and especially when you're when the service you're offering is not is used by the operational people. It's the SDR using it, it's the AE using it. So you need to train every user. You need to ensure that you have a good feature adoption, and this is, I think, where a lot of video tools kind of like had trouble with Vidyard and all. I don't know if you're in your previous teams, and this is definitely something that
yeah,
I've experienced before. You get a brand new tool, and as a team lead, you're so happy to bring it to your team, and you're like, oh wow, this is gonna be great. And then you put it out there and you pitch it to them, and they say, oh, this is the worst. We're not gonna do this. So sometimes they don't even say it. They're just like, oh yeah, cool,
yeah.
whatever.
I had this actually. There was a lot of trepidation from my reps to
Yeah.
use video and SDRs, just because I think it's the fact that you have to, well, you had to essentially record each one over and
Yeah,
over again.
exactly.
So it's quite time consuming, and then the yield perhaps wasn't as strong as they would have hoped
And it's
versus the time
mind
they were putting
troubling
in.
also.
Yeah,
Like honestly, creating a single video for everybody is not really, yeah,
no,
it's
quite
hard.
daunting. Yeah,
It's
it's
hard, as you
tiring
said.
work.
It's tiring work, and there is no guarantee of results, because that's also a thing. Like anybody can write an email. A video is like a bit more thinking into it. That's why it works better also. But
Mm.
because we talk about humanization and impact, and the number, the the information that you can put in there is much bigger. But on the other end, it does require a little bit of thinking and thinking ahead when you're building it.
I
Yeah,
think
just
about so I was
can I
going
ask just one follow-up question, Mick? I'm so
I was
sorry.
going to make a
He was cutting me up loads in the last podcast that we did, so I kind of owe him just cutting him up once. But one follow-up question I had for you is, what, in your opinion, do you think is the optimal channel to be sending these videos through, where you get the most traction?
Mm. I'm gonna go with email personally. So it's a question that I'm gonna speak only in terms of like results, but not in parity, but in volume, right? So let's say that, because email is not capped to the number of emails you can send. I mean, you can build an
Mm,
infrastructure that allows you to have a very good deliverability on your campaigns.
mm,
Uh, and like we have an 80% open rate on our campaign with video on the first touch. And it's like, it goes against all the good practice of emailing. We're sending a link with a GIF, with a video, and it works great. So in terms of volume, the fact that we're able to like be uncapped is that email is my go-to thing. But then like I've created a new workflow that allows, for example, like now that we have Zapier, let's say that someone likes or comment on a post that I did. So we could try this on this podcast if you guys want.
Yeah.
As soon as someone likes this podcast, like that will trigger an event that will generate a video saying, "Hey, first name, thank you so much for liking this post. I guess that if you like this, you're interested in topic. What about we get on hop on a call and talk about this?" And that could be totally automated. So when you're talking triggers and everything, I think that LinkedIn is definitely powerful, but not as a 100% cold outreach. It's more of a like we engaged, we know each other from somewhere, and the video is really impactful there. So does that answer the question?
It does,
Maybe
absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely,
volume.
it does.
Yeah, volume is powerful for email, and personalization is powerful for LinkedIn, and both of them are kind of like the magic sauce here.
Amazing. Mick, go on, you
Yeah.
can go.
So thank you very much. I think you find yourself two new clients here, Jassim. It's a no-brainer. I only had one question where I think we speak about a lot about ChatGPT and adding. There's a new thing about video generation, AI video that Jeff just built. How much of your strategy as an AI company is against ChatGPT versus in parallel to ChatGPT surfing the same wave?
Okay, you're talking about Sora, the model of ChatGPT that allows you to
Yeah,
create
that's it.
videos?
I forgot
Yeah.
the name. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, first we can just do a little side note about the defensibility of startups since AI has been out there. It's crazy, and I think if I was a VC, I would, and I think they definitely take this in consideration. Defensibility has totally changed in the past months and year, I think, because people back then were coming with a cool AI idea, and they're like, "Oh, but you're gonna come and replace 10 people in our company with this tool." So there's kind of an ethic problem and everything. And then now it's like one person has founded 5 AI startups and is not only replacing 10 people in your company, but it's also replacing 5 other companies within one tool. So it's like your company is a feature of my tool of my tool,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and this has become such a how could I say hostile environment for entrepreneurs, because you're never like safe of someone coming in and being like, what you've spent years to build is just like something that I do like this,
Yeah.
um, but that's why it's important to have solid technological background, robust models, and even so if I was to compare ChatGPT and what they're doing with Sora and a tool like ours, is most so Sora is for content creators. They're gonna do amazing stuff, and I think like already anybody, I don't know if you guys have friends working in the music industry, but anybody who has an album pocket to create, or is like for their Spotify new album, they like the market got totally taken over by these AI generated AI album pockets. And I think they're going to do the same probably with a lot of there's a huge use case for videos. If you're a video creator, content creator, and you want to illustrate what you're saying with a short video, you would be able to create high quality content. But we are focusing on sales and human interactions. Our goal is to trigger a meeting. Always, it's always to trigger something. That's why even like for we have a very good use case with cold calling. So for example, one of our user is using our tool to, like, as soon as you have a status change, so someone has called and managed to leave a to have a call with someone, it triggers a follow-up email. Usually back then it was like sending a follow-up email, but now you have a video generated to it with the same person saying, "Hey, first name, thank you very much for speaking with me this afternoon. I wanted to just recap what we said." So And the goal of this is not to like replace this meeting that you just had, is to add impact to this. So I'm not saying that what they're doing, like there's no judgment of value of anything. I think it's just like in terms of use cases, we're much more focused on interaction than on content creation.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Awesome. Well, Jassim, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. But we are probably just out of time. So we do have a traditional wrap-up question. And the question is, for your whole career to date, which has been very interesting, what is your favorite memory and why?
Favorite memory and why? Good question. Good question. I think that would be, so on a purely professional level, yeah?
Do whatever you want, Jassim. Not here to
Yeah.
judge, here to listen.
No, I'm gonna go with professional. I guess that would be, in my previous job, we had a moment where we kind of celebrated the fact of overcoming our main competitor on the that was the Dutch equivalent of Anchor Store back then.
Mhm.
And I felt like this is a long-term strategical battle that took months to implement, and it was a really like elbow to elbow. And the day where we had like more sellers on our platform on this market than them, that felt really good. That felt like it's, when you plan a lot of things ahead and you have like it's something that you don't do alone. It's a lot of
Yeah.
teamwork. It's the work of the whole team coming to fruition and being able to see this in physical, like on a dashboard, felt
Yeah.
really good. I think that was like the fruition of a lot of work. So yeah,
Amazing.
teamwork. That I think this is like just teamwork, great great execution, and just overall that felt really good.
Yeah, I bet. Sounds impressive. Awesome. Well, Jassim, thank you so much for joining us again. I'm sure our listeners are going to love listening to this episode. Huge takeaways from both a strategic level as well as from an IC level, if you will. So thank you so much for your time. This has been the Revenue Revolution podcast, sponsored by Jointflows. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.